Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, six-time world champ. Got my man Brad Gilmore with me. They call him the BOAT. We left off Monday night talking about the tales from the TNA crypt.
Yeah.
Man, it seemed like a lot of people out there really was digging it. They're getting off into the stories from the tales from the crypt. But you know what, man? I'm just glad I'm back. I'm glad we made it through the tales. And how you feeling, dog? How you feeling?
You made it out alive. Yeah, I had a lot of fun going back. And after we did that show, I went back and watched the TNA Victory Road 08, the one from Houston where you and Joe main evented. That was a hell of a main event. That was like a really good match. And the finish was great. TNA, again, they actually put on some really good shows. They get a bad rap now, the TNA period of it, not Impact, but the TNA period of it. But they put on some real good shows, and they had a good production value.
I thought so. They had a lot of guys, from the old WCW crew back in the day. But I thought that was a great night for myself and for Joe. I put that kid over, put him over in the middle of the ring, put him over right. It was a real fight. It's kind of like what Bret Hart was talking about last night on the watch party. As far as I asked Bret, what was his thought process going into that match with Davey, and he was like, man, it was real. It was real. All the way. All the way through, all the way to the end.
Right.
He even talked about how he wanted to make the handshake, to the point to where the fans were going to break down in tears. But, Davey screwed it up. Yeah, Davey was too tired. Davey was kind of blowing up at that point. His mind had shut down on him. And Bret's mind was still going, even at the end of that match, let's try to squeeze a little bit more out of them, before we actually exit, the stage. And I tell you, that match with Joe, it was somewhat like that, man. I mean, because I left, I was never one of the guys, that wanted to go out and pull a diva and get all bloodied up. You know what I mean? But that night, I felt like it was fitting for me to be left in a puddle of blood, for Joe to walk out of there, leaving me that way. I thought I could put him on the map. I don't know if it worked out that way. I don't know if that match got enough praise as I thought it should have. Maybe that many people just didn't look at it. But that was one of my moments right there, giving back to the business and giving back to Joe and putting them in a position to move forward, because I always thought Joe was extraordinary talent. Even though you look at Joe in the box, you say, oh man, he's not in the greatest shape, or anything like that. But that guy could go out there and he could go all night. He could work with the best of the best in the business. And for me to get my hands on him and, try to, like I say, there again, put my blueprint, put my thumbprint on Joe as well. It was one of those nights. It was one of those nights that I never forget. And it's not that many nights for me that I have to where I remember exactly what was going on. And the reason being is because it was just another match. That was not just another match with Joe and I. I felt something about it. And there again, I remember that one, pretty much forever.
Yeah, no, it was good. And when you brought it up, and I was going to ask you, because I'd only seen you maybe never bleed in a match. That was the first time I can remember seeing you bleeding in a match. And it did. I think that, some of the guys went to the blade a lot, right? Like you knew that Flair was going to do it. His hair was going to be all bloodied. A lot of guys did it. And after a while, it does lose its luster a little bit because you almost expect it. But with the guys who never do it, like you, I think that's why it stood out to me. I think that you're right. The match would have gotten 40 billion times more praise. It's just, it wasn't WWE. It wasn't WCW. It didn't have that big viewership.
Nobody saw it. There again, my whole 2 years in TNA, I would go to the airport and people say, man, why'd you retire? You know what I mean? Right. Where you been, man? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm on television every week. I would go into towns, house shows, and, go to the local, food establishment down the street, and, guys see me and go, man, it's Booker T. What are you doing here? We got a show right down the street, literally right down the street. And that's just the way it was in TNA. It didn't have that widespread viewership like WWE, even though we were getting over 1 million viewers a week. I'm wondering what they were. Maybe they were just a lot of overseas viewers.
Maybe.
I don't.
You said before too, like if Elvis were to do a show at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas, and no one knew about it, nobody would be there. It didn't matter how big the draw is. If no one knows about it, you're not going to be there.
But trust me, if they knew Elvis was going to be there, the place would be sold out, man. It would be sold out top to bottom, So I don't know, man. I don't know. There again, that just was TNA. TNA, they had a huge chance at making it to that next level. Just didn't do it. I know we left off on the Matt Morgan story. So
you know what? You want to tell that one?
Might as well pick up on the Matt Morgan story.
Okay.
When we left Switzerland, I was talking about that last show when we were in Switzerland. People start throwing the bottles and whatnot. That same trip, I was told that I was going to be working with Matt Morgan when I got back to TV. I guess they want to, prepare me and get me ready because when somebody wants you to do a job, they call a couple of days early. You know what I mean?
Some time.
Yeah.
Over.
Bad date on this thing. But they said, yeah, man, we want you to work with Matt Morgan. Matt Morgan and I, I wouldn't necessarily say him and I are the best of friends or anything, but me and Matt, we always got along with each other. We always had camaraderie. We always had, some sort of fellowship when we were around each other as well. So it had nothing to do with Matt Morgan other than me working Matt Morgan. And I was told that you're going to be working with Matt Morgan. At that same time, Kurt Angle and I, we had some friction back and forth with the Main Event Mafia. So therefore, we was going to interject Kurt Angle. At least that's what they came to me with. First, that we're going to interject Kurt Angle into this angle. You work at Matt Morgan, Kurt Angle come out, the distraction, Matt hit you with the boom, the big gimmick, 1, 2, 3, boom. We get Matt Morgan over. And I was like, yeah, all right, I'm cool with that. No big deal. And then when we got back to TV, actually to do the match with Matt Morgan after the fiasco that happened, and I walked out, I guess they were going to punish me. And then not just punish me, but make me look bad at the same time. I can't remember who it was. Might have been Pat Buck or somebody like that. I can't remember who it was, but I remember them coming to me and telling me, hey, Book, we changed the finish up on the Matt Morgan match. It's not going to be Kurt Angle's not going to come out now and do anything. Matt is just going to beat you, right in the middle, maybe a 6-minute match, and we'll just move forward from there. And I looked at him and I go, okay, let me think about it for a second. And literally, I thought about it for 1 second, and I go, I thought about it. That's not going to happen. All right. What's wrong? I said, that's not going to happen. Okay. And it upset me because
because they were trying to treat you like I don't want to say like a punk, but like, hey, you know what, Book, you did something we didn't like, so you're going to get yours.
Well, like I say, it felt like it was felt like it was a punishment.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, I'm not down with that. First of all, but when I said, I thought about it, I'm not going to do it. I was hot. I was mad because I was willing to go out there and do it the way we had it laid out with Kurt coming out. I mean, it would have been perfectly fine. He would have got what he needed out of it. They would have got what they needed out of it. I would have got out of it.
Not to cut you off, but like you said in the last show, you had no problem putting young guys over. That was your whole modus of operandi when you were in TNA. So long as we do business the way it's supposed to be done, I don't mind putting you over.
Bottom line. And then I remember Terry Taylor. Terry Taylor came back and he goes, hey, Book, what's going on? I heard you. You're not going to put Matt over. I said, no, I'm not doing that. I said, it's ridiculous. I said, now all of a sudden, I'm putting the guy over in 5 minutes when it was a certain way, just not even a couple of weeks ago. And then he goes, all right. Let me go, talk to somebody. So he left, went and talked to someone and came back and said, all right, we're going to do it the way we had it set with Kurt Angle coming out and doing the deal. And then I go, After I thought about it, I can't even do that now because you disrespected me. I say my last night is going to be at the pay-per-view, and I'm going to go into the sunset. You guys can go on to wherever you guys are going to go. Matt Morgan came to me actually, and he goes, "Book, do I got heat? We got heat or anything?" And I go, "Nah, Matt." I say, "Man, this has nothing to do with you, man." I said, "Any other circumstances, this would not have happened." I say, "But trust me, this has nothing to do with you." So Matt Morgan and I, we never had any, friction back and forth or anything like that. But I just thought the company definitely dropped the ball on that thing and tried to make me look bad at the same time. And if you know anything about Booker T, it ain't going down like that. Hey guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, man. That's the story. That's the whole story.
That's the Matt Morgan story. Can I ask
you, so help me God. That is the full and true story right there. What's up?
Matt Morgan, I remember he came into WWE. It was like 03, 04, somewhere around that. And I remember they positioned him with Brock, and there was going to be a Team Lesnar versus Team Angle match at Survivor Series. You were on that year. I think you were on Team Austin versus Team Bischoff. But I remember they're going to have Matt come in, and he came in 7 foot tall. At least that's what he was billed at. Maybe he's 6'9.5", but he's close enough, right? 7 foot tall, 300 pounds, looked jacked, super athletic, had a really cool finish where he would hook you for a suplex and kind of turn it into a slam almost. I thought that he had a lot of stuff to be something in WWE. He checked every box as far as what we're told they look for. Why don't you think it worked out for Matt in WWE?
Man, why didn't it work out for Matt Morgan in the WWE, man? That's a mold.
They did give him a bad gimmick for a minute where he was stutterer. Remember, he was a stutterer? I don't know if you remember that.
I think I remember a little bit about it. But I don't know, man, as far as, like you say, Matt Morgan checked all the boxes. Seemed like he would have been a staple in the business. He seemed like he would have went down as one of the great big men, of the business. That didn't happen for him in WWE, but that didn't happen for him in TNA as well. I mean, he had a nice little run there in TNA. TNA literally tried to make him their big guy, their monster, there for a while. But I think Matt Morgan did not really want it as much as people wanted it for him, I think. I would see Matt Morgan in the back, outside smoking a cigarette, right before his match, and then he come in and do his stuff, and boom, he was out of there. It didn't seem like it was something that he really, I don't know, maybe it was after the WWE run and that didn't happen for him. Maybe he felt a certain way. I don't know. I'm just saying. But it seemed like Matt did not really want it as much as, you see a lot of guys in this business that want it. You think about when I think about guys like that, I think about Edge and Christian, guys that's been watching it since they were kids, and they get their, it's like a dog on a bone. When they get it, they don't want to let it go. Matt seemed like he was just cool hanging out and being a part of the deal. Maybe that's true. Now he's the mayor, and I think
somewhere in Florida, right?
Somewhere in Florida. Big ups. Maybe that was his aspiration from the beginning. Maybe, he's always thought from a business perspective. So take nothing away from Matt Morgan and what he brought to the game. Just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, when he came into TNA, I think he was the blueprint Matt Morgan, and he was really positioned as the next guy. But like you said, if you don't have that love or that drive for it, you know what I mean? Like some guys are blessed with all the gifts, and I hate to hate on him, but I think of Carmelo Anthony. There's a guy who's blessed with every athletic gift possible, the skill of basketball. He's just naturally great at it, and he didn't historically work on his game. He didn't work on his body. He didn't stay in shape. Even one of my favorites of all time, Shaq, was like that toward the end, right? He legendarily wouldn't work out during the off season. He'd eat whatever he wanted, and he'd say, "Oh, I'll get in shape during the season." Sometimes when you're blessed with those gifts and you didn't have to work for them, some of that drive maybe isn't there. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, that may be true, as well as if you got a a backdrop, something else to fall back on. By that time, Shaq had millions and millions of dollars. So he's probably said, man, I'm eating whatever the hell I want. I don't care how fat I get.
Whatever team you want.
I lose some of it, and the rest of it, it's just gonna have to hang on. For me, I don't know what Matt Morgan's situation was, but for me, man, I was looking for a job. I was looking for a way to a means to make some monies, and so that's why I was hungry. I was hungry, literally. I mean, I needed a meal. So that made me push myself, further than I've ever could have pushed myself, just because I wanted a better life, and I saw wrestling as being a means to an end, and perhaps this is the way it could happen for me. Always, as a kid, especially when you grew up in the ghetto, you're looking for that way out. You're looking for, man, what is it going to be? How am I going to come up? Just talking about the strippers just last night on the watch party, and I say that out of all respect, because I thought I was going to be a stripper, once upon a time.
Wait, time out. What?
Bro, when you look here, bro, let me tell you something. Right now, we're talking about crime in America. How the crime has spiked in America. And people, we talking about, this PPP money, as far as people getting that extra $600 a week, and if they don't get it, they ain't going to be able to, pay their bills, and, their family's going to be in trouble. So I'm going to tell you right now, I can truly, honestly tell you, man, that the crisis I think that we're going through right now, with all the crime, all the shootings, and everything that's going on, it's in direct with what's going on with people losing their jobs. When desperate times come, it calls for desperate measures. And for me, I was a kid in a situation where desperate times cause desperate measures. And if I had to take my clothes off to go into the strip club to make some money, that's what I was going to do. I mean, I'm serious. I was jacked.
Yeah.
Halfway decent. I knew the women was going to take care of me. I knew that. You know what I mean? So that literally was something, I thought about, at one point in time, man, because a means to an end, desperate time, desperate measures, you will, especially if you don't want to go out there and do something desperate like a lot of these people are doing right now, going out shooting and killing and stealing. Right. I still want to do it legally. You know what I mean? So what would, how could I find my way out? And wrestling just happened to be it.
Yeah, I mean, and that was your driving factor. I think that there's some guys, like again, we've seen guys come through the gym at reality wrestling who are just naturally gifted. They have every talent in the world, and they don't amount to anything. And then the guys who come in the door that you literally try to turn them away from wrestling, saying you need to do something else, become the best students. It's all about drive, right? They say hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The guy that works the hardest, he's going to win. I mean, I was talking to my kids about the TARDIS in the hair just last week.
That's classic.
Yeah, they know I'm moving, bro, pretty slow. And I go, have you guys ever heard about the TARDIS in the hair? And they go, Daddy, we heard about that, but we're not going to take a nap. That's the only way talent can stay ahead, bro. You can't be sleeping. You got to stay on top of your game. And, my little girl saying that definitely resonated in what we're talking about right now, man. The TARDIS in the hair, man. You gotta stay on top of your game. And I think for me, it was easy because I worked every menial job in life. I really had at that point in time. I worked.
What was the list? Like what were the jobs you were working?
Well, I mean, my first job was at Fiesta, and I got fired from Fiesta because I wanted a day off, and I called in acting like my mother, and tried to get.
Can we hear the mother voice?
I can't do it anymore. And then I worked at every fast food restaurant that you can name. Seriously, I leveled houses, cut grass. I've done just about every menial job one could ever have. And I wanted something more out of life. You know what I mean? And it just happened to be, it just happened to work out for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, back. That's what the hard work gets to. The chat is loving, by the way, the stripper T story. It could have been someone. You and Buff Bagwell could have tagged together. Y'all could have been.
We did tag together. Worst out of my life.
That's right. Right. Yeah. Tacoma, Washington. Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It would have been good.
No, man, I'm serious, man. I was all about making some money, man. I was all about trying to be righteous too at the same time. I had a son, that I was raising, so I definitely didn't want to give him any bad influences or anything like that. Be doing drugs and bringing, trying to sell drugs or doing. I said, man, I want to do it right, because I wanted my son to be able to look up to me and want to be like his dad as well. So it's pressure, man. Pressure. That's why I say, man, when you're in a certain situation, you're willing to do anything. But sometimes when you got something to fall back on, just like the Carmelo Anthony's of the world, man. Carmelo, think you worried about anything right now? Brother got big, long, green ducats. You know what I mean?
Atlanta paid him $35 million to not play for them. So he's all good.
Exactly. You're talking about, you know what I mean? So, hey, man, big ups. When you can get that paper, man, you get it.
I know we're about to go to break here in a second, but I got to say, I've been watching this NBA bubble basketball, and they did another round of tests. No one has tested positive since they've entered the bubble facility. They're still on zero, so they're way ahead of baseball and everybody else. But I'm watching my Rockets play, and I'm feeling, Booker. I'm feeling it. It's like 94, 95. We're going to go out there. It's going to get done. The Rockets are going to pull this one off, but I'm telling you, my man Russ is a monster. He's a monster. Now, we lost last night. We did. But no one played well. So that's fine. Yeah. We beat Dallas. We beat the Bucks. I'm telling you, we're going to go all the way. I found this today.
Good.
1995. Still got the sticker and the tag on it.
Great. It was a great year. Great year.
Great year.
I was around.
20. I'm going to have one just like it right next to it.
You might have a hat, but trust me, it may not look the same. I just been waiting to go to break, guys. Stick around. We got to take a break here. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back. You look like an idiot with that. You look so freaking stupid with that hat on. Don't ever wear that hat, man. Oh my
God. Oh man. Oh. Welcome back inside the hall, right?
Yeah, welcome back to the Hall of Fame, man.
I knew that would pop you. I knew it would.
Hey, man, I'm not Lucha Underground. WWE Underground.
Raw Underground.
Raw Underground. I was like, shoot, what is it? Raw Underground, man, went down this week. Shane O'Mac, my right-hand man, my partner in crime from back in the day, brought something new to Monday Night Raw, third hour. And right now, man, there's a lot of people out there talking about it. It seems like a lot of buzz as far as, what's really going on. But I don't know, man. I don't know. You tell me. What did you think about it?
So I heard Shane was coming back, which he hadn't been on TV since the SmackDown debut on Fox. And I was like, okay, they're not going to bring him back for no reason. Obviously, he's coming back, and he's going to have some sort of prominent role. The last thing I would have ever expected in the history of my life is that Shane McMahon would introduce a Fight Club into WWE. Now, these quarantine shows, I feel like anything goes, right? It's all fair game because we're trying to figure out how to work our way through this storm. So when I saw Raw Underground, I was like, oh, all right. Hey, this could be something. This could be something. It wasn't what I particularly enjoyed. And I'll tell you why. It wasn't from the concept of it. The camera cuts were a little much for me, right? When they were shooting the fights, it would switch all the time. And it was hard to like get involved into the action. Maybe that's something they work on going forward. As you said on the Fox stream yesterday, I love the strippers. I'm all for the women back on the show.
Yeah, give them their props.
You know, I like that they're using some guys who are known for a shoot aspect. The look is fine. I just think that it needs a little bit more work for it to connect. Now, there's some people I saw who absolutely loved it on Twitter. There were the Meltzers of the world who hated everything, but that he's irrelevant to me. But I think that if they can work out the concept and then make it like, I don't know, make it mean something. Make the fights mean something. Like, hey, we're all working. You had this idea, and I don't want to like blow it up because we still.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'll just say the kingdom kind of thing, right?
Don't talk about the kingdom.
I'm not saying it, but you had an idea that was similar to this in concept, but there was a end goal to it,
right? as well as a certain element.
Yeah.
To the what I say, the pageantry of it, just the feel of everything that's going on as well. So there
was reasoning for the fights, and that's what I wanted to hear. It's like
there was a certain ambiance. That's what I was trying.
That's a good word. Yeah, and that's what I was looking for here. I like the look. I think it could be something. Hey, whatever. At this point, you got to try something new as well. And I understand that they're trying. So we'll see what happens going forward. I think that I have mixed reactions for the first thing. It was nice to see Dio Madden on the show, but Shelton took care of that pretty quickly. But the Hurt bit, I will say this. Let me say this: the Hurt business coming in at the end, Bobby, MVP, and Shelton, they look like megastars. They really did. At the end, they look like superstars.
Yeah,
that was the best part of the whole thing. They came in and they looked like top guys.
Well, I thought it had a certain element to it. I really did. But there again, like Kingdom actually is a little short, series that I'm working on that my wife and I we've been writing. I pretty much put the first part of it together myself, and my wife right now, she's enhancing it like crazy. But the Kingdom is definitely something that you guys are going to be able to be a part of very, very soon, as far as experiencing it on some platform. And I think it's somewhat similar to what Raw Underground is, but the concept is totally different.
Right.
And I think enhanced, I really do think Raw Underground really could have a lot of those same elements and be looked at as only a cinematic part of the show. And understand, guys, everybody needs to know this part of the show is cinematic. You know what I mean? So I think it's a concept that could work. I just think the right continuity has to go into it, has to be felt as far as to make people go, man, this is something really cool, and this is something I like. This is something I really want to get into. There again, I think it has to be somewhat like the other 2 hours from a storyline based perspective, in order for the fans to be able to follow along with Raw Underground on a weekly basis. It just can't be chaos. I think. I think if it had more of, where's this thing going, just like the Kingdom, where's the Kingdom going? Just because people always want to follow along the story as well as the action. But one thing about the business that I've been a part of for so long, and of course it's changed a whole lot. It's definitely changed a whole lot, but some things never change. And that is, at the end of the day, you want to get the payoff. And the payoff is what? The fight. So I say, yeah, this thing could work. But the overlay has to be there in order for you to actually, get get to the end game. So yeah, it's definitely a work in progress. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It could be something. For me, I was watching some Jackie Chan movies over the weekend. And what's so great about Jackie Chan is not like he's the greatest actor. He's not the greatest orator in the world. You want to see his martial arts abilities. You want to see the fight scenes in the Jackie Chan movies. But they just don't start off, the first thing you see is a fight. No, you have the story. He and Chris Tucker are working the case, and then they get to the massage parlor. Oh, now you find the bad guy in the massage parlor, fights on. Right there's a story leading up to the fight, like you were saying. And I think that for Raw Underground, if there's a beef somewhere, like you said, in the first hour, guys get into it, there's a brawl. Shane says, "Hey, you don't settle this in the ring. We settle this in the underground." Right? Blah, blah, blah. And then we see a build up to that main event fight at the end of the night. That's what we need to lead.
You know what, man? I'm not gonna. I don't want to give away any of my my secrets or anything like that. The game is to be sold, not told. So I'm definitely liking where they're going. But for me, the soundtrack. Let's just say that the soundtrack is very, very important to make me feel a certain way when I'm watching something. The soundtrack, and I'm gonna leave it at that right there. Because you're gonna see a lot of that when it comes to the Kingdom. It's not just about the acting. It's not just about the action. The soundtrack is gonna make you feel a certain way. So I just say, man, hopefully they can get that thing going, man. Because me personally, I see something in it. I got a vision on that right there, man. It's like so clear, and I would love to get my blueprint and thumbprint on something like that right there. But there again, the game is to be sold, not told.
That means if there's a check, I will help you out. What did you think of the strippers there? You like it? Like, I'm a fan.
You know what I mean? Was any black girls in there? We need some
very quick.
We got to get some black strippers, man. I mean, we got to get equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity. Yeah, we got to give my man Lou Will. He knows some girls down in Magic City. You know what I mean? And we can hook it up.
Did they have a DJ? Did we see a DJ?
I didn't see a DJ. No,
a DJ. You know what I mean? You always got to have a DJ in a situation.
You play games, and I saw Xavier Woods say this on Twitter. You remember Def Jam Vendetta? Did you ever play that game?
No, I didn't.
So it was a great.
I was just looking at somebody. Just I put a tweet out about Def Jam video game. Yeah.
Oh, they did. Oh, yeah. Well, I saw Xavier put it up.
Looks like Def Jam video game. I just see that. Yeah. What is that? No Gaduda. No Gaduda. Patterson. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think it's Dakota. Yeah. Patterson. He's what a reality wrestling.
He just Patterson.
I'm not gonna be like you out here. Oh my God, it's Patterson. No, but what I was gonna say is the Def Jam Vendetta video game was all the rappers. It was every rapper. It was Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, DMX, whomever, but it was a fighting game. So you could pick your favorite rapper and fight your other favorite rapper in the streets of New York. And it had that rappers you were fighting as, it would play their music while you're fighting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it was a really cool idea for a video game. Yeah. And I think that that had the element of it. And like I said, just, tuning it, fine tuning it. The thing is, you're on 52 weeks a year. So there's always next week to go try it again. And I think that they don't, but here's the other thing. Don't give up on it out of the gate. You got to stick with it, and it can be something.
Well, I think out of the gate, a lot of people are going to always want to hate on something, always going to look at it and critique it and take it apart and whatnot. And that's just the way the world we're living in right now. I mean, everybody want to have an opinion. Everybody want their, opinion heard as well. So, I don't take offense to anything that people say about anything that's going on. Or I don't take offense to people saying, "Oh, Booker T just talking, he just towing the line." You know what? As long as you follow me, I don't care. I normally don't block you unless you say something real stupid. All right, but
just mute you.
Exactly. If you just said a little bit of stupid, I'm gonna keep you on. I need the followers. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. Hey man, I forgot to hit my clock. How much time we got left?
Oh, we got to go to break.
We got to take a break, hey guys. Stick around. We got a little bit more for you. We'll be back in a minute.
The Academy.
Go back inside the Hall of Fame.
What are you laughing about now?
Oh man, I'm still thinking about what we were just talking about, man. Just stay on top of your game, people. Just stay on top of your game. All right, that's all I'm saying. All right, coming from the 5-time champ. What you got?
I got a question for you because I was like I said, watching bubble basketball last night, and then I got the little notification: Booker T, Renee Young, CM Punk, SummerSlam '92 watch along, Fox Sports. It was kind of a backstage reunion. Is there a new status of backstage? Are we back? Are we what's going on?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say we're 100% back or anything like that, but I know we, did the watch party. I think we got something coming up, for the pay-per-view for SummerSlam as well. Hopefully that'll go off. Right now, things are kind of like loosening up a little bit, and we're kind of trying to get back in the swing of things. What I like and what I appreciate more than anything is, there's so many people gave feedback on Twitter last night, and they really like what we did. So I really appreciate you guys letting us know, man. We want backstage back. Man, this is the best part of, my wrestling week, stuff like that. Booker T, CM Punk, Renee Young, man, you guys are, awesome. This is one of a great platform for wrestling. I really appreciate that because I really think WWE Backstage was a little bit different than most shows because, just like last night, being able to talk to Bret Hart there again, we left our last show. Bret Hart was there, and I got a chance to get into his head just a little bit. And then last night, being able to get into his head just a little bit more as for a thought process, talking about these young guys and what they're going through, as well as what they should be thinking about while they're going through it is very, very important. Having Finn Balor on there and talking to Finn Balor and asking Finn, do you look at these guys and did you learn anything from them? And then to hear the story that he had to tell, about Terry Taylor, that right there, that insight for me, that story that I told about, being in the business 13 years and then being told something by Blackjack Lanza and go out and utilize it and then realize, man, why did I know that? And I've been in the business for 13 years. You never stop learning. When you're in this business, and if you're smart, you're gonna keep your ears open and see how can I utilize certain tools. Punk, he elaborated as well as far as what he learned from Steamboat when in the beginning, he had both ears closed. He didn't want to hear what this old guy got to say, and then the guy go, wait a minute, no, go out and just try it. And he said that was the biggest part of the match and the most important part of the match. And that's what he remembered most. So I just felt like WWE Backstage for me was inquisitive. It definitely gave you something to hold on to and something to bite into when you left it thinking about something. And that's why I miss WWE Backstage, because that's real talk as far as I'm concerned. And ain't a whole lot of people out there talking about the business from that aspect, trying to, further the knowledge of these young guys and get them to that point to where hopefully, they get a chance to see it just like we did and enjoy it, the fruits of the labor on the back end as well. Talking to Finn Balor about, man, how he used to work so hard in Japan, how his body used to be so sore, and then he get to WWE and realize, man, slowing down. And he said, man, it's still hard for him to go out there and slow down. So that knowledge right there is invaluable for these young people to be able to access it. And sometimes they don't know, where to access it, the right places to access it. So WWE Backstage for me was a platform to actually, drop some science and some knowledge on these young guys.
But just a little bit, you can't give them the whole game. But you know what? I was thinking about this last night. And by the way, I would love to see Backstage back on television on a weekly basis with you, Punk. And Renee actually have a really good vibe with the three of you. I like Mark, I like Paige, I like Christian as well. But y'all had a really good vibe last night. And for young wrestling fans and people who want to be in the business, there's probably not a better time to be in wrestling if you want game, because a lot of guys have platforms like you have who are constantly saying, hey, this is what you can do to get better. Oh, I'd like to see them do this. This is what I learned. This is it. And to be able to absorb that information on a platform like Backstage would be great. But I did notice you were kind of goading Punk a little bit. You say that he's still got some left in the tank. And before it was a little bit of a question on here, but now you think he can go for another run. Is
Well,
what
I don't know if he can go. You know what,
you
man?
told him you could still go. You said, I'm done. You can go.
Well, you know what? Let's just say I'm pushing him to go. All right, I'm pushing
What
him.
do you got in it?
I have nothing. I have no horse in the race or anything like that. But CM Punk, man, he left the business. You know, I don't think the way he want to remember. You know, at the end of the day, I left the business that way. All right, and you know what? Be that as it may, people can say whatever they want to say about Punk. He was a big asset to the business, you know, and he was hot. He was red hot when he walked away from this thing. You don't ever, want to think that that's the way you walked away from the game. One of the reasons why I'm so glad I came back to WWE is because leaving on that King Booker run, it just would have been, unjust to walk away from the business like that and never touch it again. CM Punk's been out of the business now, 7 years?
Yeah.
And not to have had, a taste to, get back in the ring. I'm gonna tell you right now that has not happened. Trust me, he's wanted to get back in the ring probably several times, just trying to figure out, man, how do I get back, especially after the way I walked away. You know what I mean?
Right.
How do I walk back in? And put everything behind and start anew. It's got to be hard. It's got to be, and the thing about it also, 7 years passed, man. A lot of guys in the locker room aren't even in the locker room anymore. The only guy that's in the locker room that was when Punk was there probably is Roman.
Yeah, Dolph, Kofi, Seth, Roman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not that many guys. He's going to be an elder statesman, and there again, I remember being the youngest guy in the locker room, and then I remember being the oldest guy in the locker room. It's a certain kind of feeling, especially if you're not content with it, especially when you're not, at peace with where you are, especially with your age. For me, I was always pretty comfortable in my own skin. It never bothered me about, getting older. I always say, man, every year I get older, I just know I'm still here. It's a celebration, baby. Let's go drinking. So, but now Punk, he still has a lot to offer, I think. I think there again, to finish it and be able to, look at it one day and say, man, that was pretty good. Opposed to saying, man, I hate this, when you love it. It's one of those times. He wouldn't be doing backstage if he didn't still love the business.
Right.
He wouldn't want to talk about or think about any of those stories if he hated this. So that can't be it. And so at 40 years old, I know I was at my best. I could go out and I could work with anybody when I was 40. I was in my prime shape. I could work 45 minutes to an hour with no problem when I was 40. Now, Punk, on the other hand, I'm not saying he's as athletically inclined as I am. That's another story. But he's 40, and it's still a chance for him there.
The Punk stuff is weird, right? Because I'm only going to speak as a fan. As a fan, I liked to see CM Punk when he was wrestling. Like, he was a charismatic personality. When he left the way he did, and I heard some of the things he said at the time, I was like, screw this guy. I don't even want you to come back. I don't even want you to come back to wrestling. And then time passes again. You see some old matches. You're like, man, it'd be really cool if CM Punk came back to wrestling. Then he does backstage, and you're like, as a fan, you're like, there's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance. And I think that the community right now, I think we want CM Punk, at least for one match, one WrestleMania, do one Mania, do one Rumble, do SummerSlam, do something. Hey, do this upcoming SummerSlam. I'm sure this would be one to remember.
Hey, man.
Just do one more. That's all I want. Just one.
Like I say, I really think, I think Punk has something left. It's going to be on his own terms. Just like when we came on the air last night, it was before it's before we actually came on the air, and Punk, he see my setup here in the back, and he goes, and he was like in the kitchen or in his gym or something that had no background to it. He goes, Book, everybody don't have a nice studio like you. And I go, well, it ain't because you ain't got the money. So, yeah, man, I like working with Punk.
I did notice that. I'm like, Why is Punk the only one with a microphone?
Hey, man, I'm professional, man. I'm professional, man. But no, I like working with Punk, man. Even, jigging at him.
Who would you, though, on the current roster, NXT included, AEW included, doesn't matter. Who would you think would be a good matchup for Punk right now? Like, who is somebody you're like, man, that'd be pretty cool? Because I got an answer.
Well, it's only, one or two guys for me. One of them is AJ, of course.
AJ?
AJ can go out and, get everything out of Punk, that Punk will be looking for. Another guy on the card probably would be, oh man.
My answer would be Adam Cole.
Adam Cole would be a good matchup for him just because Cole's not as big. He's a guy that can go out there and, match up well with Punk as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Adam Cole, he's definitely a good choice, but the guy for me who is the worker, that's AJ Styles. And AJ, I pick AJ because AJ is one of those guys to where he's at a level in the business where he knows everything about it. And that's very important when a guy coming back, trying to get back into it, because things has changed a whole lot. And AJ can say, hey, bro, let me make you look good here tonight. Hey, guys, stick around. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. Hey, before we even move any further, man, I just want to say happy birthday to Kendrick James Kennedy Rose. It's their birthday today. My son, my daughter, 10 years old. My son's going to be getting braces put on tomorrow, so
What?
he's moving up, man. He's becoming a young man. And I just want to thank God. I just want to thank you, God, for letting me see these last 10 years and watch my kids grow up, man. And I always say, man, God, just give me enough time on this earth, just enough time to finish my work, and you can bring me home. And that work is to just see these youngsters get to a certain point to where they can fly on their own. And that's the only thing that I asked the man upstairs to bless me with is just my health until I finish my work. And definitely I'll be ready to fly these Eagles, man, fly them on home. Seriously.
And happy birthday to both of them. How old are they now? 10?
10 years old, man. Mm-hmm.
Wow, man. Celebration. That's crazy.
Unbelievable, man. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember when they couldn't even really speak.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy, even more crazy. My dog. We got my dog Shogun about a year and a half before the kids came along, and they told us to. My dog had some kind of rare disease, where she would just get lethargic and fall over, couldn't control herself. And they told us to put the dog to sleep. They say she's not going to live very long at all. And thank God, man, Shogun here, almost 12 years now. Shogun still a part of this crew, man. Shogun raised those kids, man. So I'm blessed, man. I must say I'm blessed, man. Like I say, to see my little ones become 10 years old is definitely a blessing. It's a blessing, so much more than one could imagine.
Oh, absolutely. And right now, especially in a crazy time, we're in a pandemic era, everyone needs to stay safe, Book. And we got to tell the folks about Boomer Naturals, our new face mask sponsor, the official face mask of ESPN 975 in the Hall of Fame.
Hey, Brad, one of the biggest changes we're all dealing with right now is wearing a mask, and not all offer the same comfort and protection. I recommend the Boomer Natural 3-layer comfortable and highly breathable mask. These come in sizes for adults, teens, and children, and are in stock and be shipped to you quick.
Yeah, Book, one of the reasons they're so highly protective is because of the nano silver technology that's literally woven right into the fabric. Nano silver can block those tiny drops and particles from getting into the nose and mouth, and that's what we want right now. It's the best protection out there. Boomer also offers the popular nano silver neck gaiters. That's a mask that'll cover your neck and face. Another great thing is that Boomer will donate one face cover for every order to nonprofits and charities, helping tens of thousands of Americans in need. And I got to say, I love that.
Yeah, order now at boomernaturals.com. Use promo code Booker and save 20%. That code Booker at boomernaturals.com. Get free shipping and handling when you spend at least $50 online at boomernaturals.com. Oh,
Yep.
boomernaturals.com.
They're good though. They're good though. I need to come drop your mask off to you because they just sent the samples in the mail, and I'm telling you, they're actually like really good masks. You put them on, you can breathe fine. It doesn't fog the glasses, which is huge for me because, like you said the other day, you just go in a regular mask and you can't see anything. These they don't do that. So shout out to boomernaturals.com.
I'm gonna need it because I just got a phone call, man, and I'm getting ready to get my freaking flyer back in action, man. They put me in the air, man. Take a couple of trips doing this thing right now. Lost Treasures, looking for some of Booker T's old goods. It's A&E deal, so hopefully you guys enjoy that. When it comes out. But I'm getting ready to get back to work, and the thing is, I'm excited as well as anxious, but still nervous.
Right.
If you understand, because I'm a believer in the pandemic. I'm a believer in coronavirus, COVID-19, and I'm taking this thing serious, and hopefully everybody around me would take it just as serious, so we can get rid of this thing, so we can get back to our lives, somewhat to the way they were, before. Even though I honestly don't think we're ever going to go back to the way it was. I don't know, man. It's I hope, what I mean. And the thing is, we've had, pandemics, we've had, stuff like this happen before, and we came back and we went back to our regular lives. But I just hope, man, that we are able to, get back in action and get back to life the way we were once before. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Speaking of getting back in action, you're talking about the hard work and always being ready. And last week on AEW Dynamite, we saw the return of a guy who was on WWE television for a very long time, Zack Ryder, now known as Matt Cardona. He made his debut on AEW Dynamite, coming to the aid of Cody Rhodes. What do you think about him coming in? Because I've always been high on Zack Ryder / Matt Cardona. He's a guy who in WWE found a way to make something out of nothing with his Z Long Island stories.
Long Island iced tea, baby.
Yeah. And the woo, 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 you know it.
Yeah.
I remember like we talked about a couple months when The Rock was in Madison Square Garden and everybody's chanting, "We want Ryder." When The Rock, this is his first match back in 7 years, and that's how over he was at the time. So now to see him get a second win, get a second shot at AEW, I'm excited for him.
Yeah, man, I always like Zack Ryder, man. There again, he's another guy that hard worker, always showed up on time to work, always a guy that was willing to go out there and do anything. I remember Kane pushed him off the stage in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? I was like, man, this dude here, he's a team player. Sometimes he may have been too much of a team player, some would say. I do like to see Zack Ryder in the position right now that he's in to come up. He's a guy that I've always liked, but the question is going to be there again for Zack Ryder, just like we've been talking about Big E, Naomi. Are you going to have to change something now to actually move on to the next level? Are you going to be able to bring in, your woo, 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 it, and keep that rolling? Or are you going to want to bring something new to the table? That's what we're going to, that's the question that's going to still have to be answered about Zack Ryder. And, for me, am I going to look at him any different, or am I going to look at him the same? Me personally, I don't think Zack Ryder would want to bring the woo, woo, woo with him to AEW. Perhaps I could be wrong, because it seemed like he would be bringing that same old gimmick that he brought from WWE to AEW. Seemed like he would want something new, something different. If it worked for him, go with it, but do you want to try it? Perhaps, because one thing they say also, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I say, I put an asterisk by everything that I say, but I am glad to see Zack Ryder back Matt Cardona, give him that respect. I'm glad to see Matt Cardona back in action and doing his thing, because he really is a true workhorse for this business, and he should be recognized at that, man, because this guy put in a lot of time trying to become something, even in WWE. I must say that.
Yeah, I mean, and Matt Cardona looks great right here. You know what I mean? He looks like he's been in the gym. He's tanned. He's jacked. You know what I mean? I think he's ready for a run.
I'm gonna tell you right now, that look right there, you know, I mean, he's look like he's still trying to throw the woo 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 up there, right there, or something. I don't know what that is, but that look right there, I don't think I ever seen. I'm talking about from the chin up. All right, just from the chin up. I don't think I ever seen Matt Cardona as Zack Ryder have that look on his face ever in WWE. You know, I don't think we ever could have captured that facial expression on Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. I don't think we could have captured that moment right there. It seems like he's in a different place just from that photo right there. It looks like he's in a different place and want to do something totally different. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt, man. And there again, man, big ups to him for moving on and not being one of those guys just crying about it. Just say, hey, man, I'm going to just, do what I do. And that's woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. And I think that I'm excited to see kind of where he goes personality-wise, but I'm a fan of his, man. And as soon as he got his release from the company, he already had a whole pro wrestling tees store the same day. He was starting a new podcast or promoting the same podcast, blowing everything up to the nth degree, because I think he's somebody who realized in wrestling, it's not going to be given to you. Nothing's going to be given to you. You're going to have to figure it out for yourself and find a way to make it happen. And that's why I think I've always been a fan of him. So I'm excited to see what he does in AEW. And do you like him being kind of paired with Cody Rhodes off the bat? I think they're going to be buddies for a while, but I could see Cody kind of turning heel, Matt being the babyface, TNT championship. We could do it at the next pay-per-view. I kind of like that.
You know what, man? I'm going to just keep it real on that, man. I really don't like the idea of, everybody's coming in as Cody's buddy. That's the concept of the business today that I really don't like. People advocating that they're somebody's friend on social media, because it does nothing for me as a promoter trying to promote a show and trying to build a program. It does nothing for me. These guys coming in and being buddies. For me, the perfect picture for me, Matt Cardona does not even know Cody Rhodes or who he is until they finally meet in the ring on television. And then it means something to me. Two guys that are buddies that turn heel on each other. It's the oldest story in the history of this business. And if that's the route that we're going, if that's, where it looked like, this thing is heading, it probably is, and then again, I could be wrong. I put an asterisk by everything that I say. Some people may like it. But for me, all of these guys that come in the company, they are brand new guys. They're not even ex-WWE guys. They're totally different people. And that's why WWE always stayed ahead of everyone else. They don't bring in guys. No one never knew that I went to TNA when I went back to WWE. I never thought about it or said anything about it. It was nothing. It was just me coming home. You know what I mean? So that's a huge mistake as far as I'm concerned that AEW made, bringing in Matt Cardona as well as a lot of the other guys. Because even though we know who they are, when you're repackaged in this business, you got a whole different, zip code, area code, social security number, everything has changed. Hey guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back.
The Academy.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. Had to do that quick, man. But yeah, man, I'm just rolling. But I know we got a lot of questions, man. I know we got a lot of questions. People have been, wanting to ask, book, something. We had a lot of questions from Monday, still from TNA, Tales from the TNA Crips, as well as just general questions whatever you got, Bradley. What we got, bro?
Yeah, I will pull those up as we do. I wanted to ask you one more thing about the Matt Cardona stuff. I know you said don't bring him in as somebody's buddy, right? But in the age of the internet, is that kind of hard to avoid when everybody already knows your business? Like they know these guys are friends. They know everyone's background. They've seen him tweeting pictures and Instagram photos at Disney World together. Isn't that kind of hard to avoid?
No, that's exactly what I just said. That's the problem. That's the problem in the business today. People advocating and being friends. It's just like Sasha Banks put the tweet out backing up Naomi, and then these two is going to have to be working somewhere, down the line. And when, just say, for instance, Sasha go over on her, don't nobody care about it. Okay. Don't nobody care about it because they just saw Naomi go over. No, nobody care because they say, she's just doing her the favor because, they're buddies. The wrestling business has always been known to the public as far as what it is. Okay. But kayfabe, was real back in the day because we still tried to go out and make our stories as real as we possibly could. Not that people don't know Cody Rhodes and Matt Cardona are friends. People, but when it comes to the story, okay, if we're bringing in our friendship into the storyline, we're bringing real instances into something that's professional wrestling, something that is a show. All right. Okay. Does it work? Okay. Yeah, it works. But then again, what do we go from there? This is a talent. When I bring in someone, Matt Cardona, he's a talent. And for me, for that talent to be able to stand on his own and build his own, for me, that's just very important. Not taking away anything from there again, from Matt Cardona or Cody Rhodes, the way they want to do their business. There again, it's their stuff. You know what I mean? If it was mine, I'd run it the way I want to run it. But I just feel like it was there again, what I call a moment. Okay. In life, in business, in entertainment, there is going to be a moment, and what you do in that moment is very important because in that moment, you never get it back. Once it's gone forever. The way we bring Matt Cardona in, that is gone and gone forever. So now we got to deal with what we got. What is the right move? I don't know. Could it have been better in hindsight in 2020? Perhaps. You know what I mean? So once they listen to me, the phone probably going to be ringing, and they're going to be saying, "Look, can we use you as a manager or something?" And I would tell them, "Look, man, I'm not a manager. I'm just an advisor."
I can dig it. We did have a lot of questions that came in regarding the TNA run. Let me go through a couple of them if you're fine with answering them. The first one was, what was your favorite TNA match or moment? Do you have a particular favorite one?
Man, I would think my favorite TNA moment was when I did something that I had been wanting to do forever in the wrestling business, and that was be able to wrestle and commentate at the same time.
Okay, tell this story.
And that right there was one of the most beautiful nights, in my wrestling career. Myself and Kevin Nash, we took over the commentary booth as Main Event Mafia, but he happened to call himself Chet Lemon, and I call myself he's a poet here in Houston, Texas, by the name of Black Snow. And Black Snow, man, I got a chance to go see Black Snow at one of the hotels here downtown and do some spoken word. Man, my wife went, and brother just blew me away. I was like, wow, this guy is good. I said, man, if I ever get a chance to bring Black Snow to the big screen on television, I'm doing it. So we did commentary. We changed our name, of course. I'm Black Snow, and they were having like a little melee in the ring, and that was my chance to actually get in the ring and cause havoc and call it at the same time. So I got the house mic and went in the ring and went to whooping somebody's ass, man. Xavier Woods, man. He was one of the guys I got a chance to beat up on. Petey Williams. He's stalking him. Oh, it was beautiful work.
It was looking at big sidekick. Oh,
He's a bad man. I tell you, man, that was one of the most fun nights I ever had, I think, in TNA. And it was, there again, it had nothing to do with wrestling. Wrestling is, entertainment, and, as fun as we make it. And I tell you, so many people, they loved that moment with Black Snow and Chet Lemon and Booker T going in there. They said, man, that's classic work, because I think I perhaps may be the first and only person to call the action as he's in the action at the same time. Yeah, seriously.
I'm trying to. We had a lot about the Main Event Mafia. What was your thinking? What was the original idea behind the Main Event Mafia? Because I know there was the, hey, we all were world champions in a company, right? That was kind of the rule to get into it. But what was the main idea? Who came up with the idea? Who was it pitched to? How did that all come together? Because that's one of the things people look back on and said, man, the Main Event Mafia, that was so good.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know who came up with the idea, honestly. I think Kevin Nash came up with the name, Main Event Mafia. Kevin's always good and, witty when it comes to, coming up with stuff like that. But the concept for me, I thought it was, really one of the greatest concepts ever. Every guy in the Main Event Mafia, we were former world heavyweight champions. I don't think that's something that's ever happened. We're all there again, main eventers. At some form and time throughout our careers, so that right there played right into it. The Mafia, oh man, that just put an accent and the icing on top of the cake, and topped it with a cherry at the same time. And I was like, wow, this is something that's really, really cool. Concept was great. I thought the Main Event Mafia faction could have went down as one of the greatest factions in the history of the business. There again, writers, they dropped the ball on that deal, but that's how it came about. I'm there again. I'm still happy that have been a part of Main Event Mafia. It was cool. It was real cool.
Yeah, Main Event Mafia was cool. Even the theme song, the logo, the M, and I really was a fan of that. This comes from Richard Bacon. I love your last name. He said, I have to ask Booker, you've written 2 incredible books. Is there a third one in the pipeline in the future, like Chris Jericho, who's written more than one book? Will we see a third?
Yeah, you're definitely going to see a third. Of course, I've done my first comic book, second comic book, working on the third comic book as well, G.I. Bro. So definitely I'm planning on writing one more book, just because I see a lot of young guys in the business right now, and a lot of them are getting married young, they're having kids young, and they're still in the business. And a lot of times there is no guide when you're in the business and you got kids, and to be able to balance that act right there and come out on the other side. I'm talking about after this whole wrestling thing is all over with, is very, very important. And I think these young guys, they really are going to need some form of life experiences that someone has had in this business, so they won't step on those same landmines. As well as once they get them, how to deal with them at the same time. We had the Miz on last week, and him now, fatherhood is definitely something, different. But I see Miz right now. He's one of those guys that he still want to go and go and go and go and go. He's going to have to realize how to slow down a little bit too. Otherwise, things could literally flip upside down on you. And it'll flip on you before you even know it. And by the time you realize it, it'll be too late. So definitely I'm planning on doing something else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got to go to a break here in about 20 seconds, Book, but we have one more segment to get through. There's still a lot of TNA questions to go through, so we're going to have to get to them.
Hey, guys, stick around. We're in the Hall of Fame. Back in a minute.
The Academy.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, man. Before we get to those questions, man, I was looking at social media earlier, and I was looking at one of the sites, and it was talking about Marty Jannetty.
Oh my good Lord!
He confessed to a murder on social media. Now the police are investigating Marty Jannetty for a crime that he may have allegedly committed back in, I don't know what year it was, but he was 13 years old when it happened. But there is no statute of limitations on murder. Even though he's a kid, definitely he may not get the maximum extent of the law as far as that goes, but he still can get in a whole lot of trouble. And God must be in a really, really bad place to say something like that. And it seemed like it was all over the breakup argument with a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So I tell you, man, Marty, one of the greatest of all times, as far as tag team wrestling goes, has found himself in a bad place. Brother, hope you get yourself together, and I'm praying for you.
Yeah, and all these claims are alleged, and sometimes people talk on Facebook, and they talk the talk. So hopefully Marty Jannetty didn't do the things that he said he made a man disappear. So I hope that that's not the case. But we'll see. We'll see what the case brings. I don't like to see guys who I grew up watching in such a bad place. It makes me sad.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent I've been around Marty many times, man. We've had conversation many times, and I know he's one of those guys that came up in that era, and he's gone through a whole lot. He's had his demons, of course. But I don't wish ill will on no man, to be honest. And if hopefully it was, like you just said, hopefully it was just talk, and something like that didn't happen. But if it did happen, he's gonna have to deal with exactly. I was just going to say that consequences and repercussions. So
Yeah, for real.
Take care of your business.
Yeah. But go back to this question. We got a couple more here, but this is one that I've seen a lot for you, and it's not just about TNA; it's about today. And this is from Fatin Kandokar. He wants to know thoughts about returning in a managerial role. I've seen this thrown around a lot, especially with Street Profits for a while. People are like, oh man, Booker could be the manager for the Street Profits, or there's been a couple of people. Would that be anything that would interest you to come back to television in a managerial role? Not the GM, not a commentator, not anything else, but a manager for a particular talent.
Yeah, but it'd have to be a little bit different, man. I wouldn't want to be a manager like the managers are today, where they go out and walk their guy to the ring and do the old Bobby Heenan stick, from back in the day. It would have to be a little bit different. And what do you say about different? Book, what's different about being a manager? For me, the realness has to come into play. For me to be a part of Street Profits would be me giving these guys business advice on how to go out and get business taken care of. Sometimes when business don't get taken care of, sometimes you got to do it yourself, or add a little bit to it. It would have to be to the point to where people looked at Street Profit no different than they looked at Harlem Heat when we walked out of that curtain. There again, it was different back then. We had Sister Sherry out there with us, doing that same stick. But I think it could still be done, but brought to another level as far as managers go, and their talent, and their client. So yeah, it would be something that I was interested in, but I would have to have a lot of input on where that thing was going and how it was going to go.
I think that's a great answer. And speaking of input, Mysterious Power on Twitter wanted to know, was Dixie heavily involved in writing / booking TNA when you were working there? What was Dixie's role in the company? Was she more on the business aspect of it, not so much the creative?
I don't know what Dixie was doing half the time. But I know she was hanging out in the bar, hanging out with the boys. When you're hanging out with the boys, the water might get hot. Then you're gonna jump. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know what Dixie was doing, but she seemed like she was living out her MILF's dream.
You're crazy. Do you know that? You're out of your mind.
I'm serious, man. Dixie was getting busy right there. I ain't gotta say what she was doing, but Dixie was, definitely how they used to say back in the day, hot to trot. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. Had the makeup and everything on, man. So I don't know, man. I don't know how much writing she was doing for the show.
You're terrible. You're a terrible person.
Definitely a role.
Well, there you go, Mysterious Power. You got your answer. I hope it's everything you ever dreamed of. Okay, how do I go from there? How do we go on from that?
I'm just saying, man. I'm just keeping it real, man.
Hey, you know what? And you know what? You know what?
Let me tell you something.
There's nothing wrong with that.
This is a real deal. I remember one time Dixie set up a huge party at the, I can't remember the name of the place. It was at this little bar, but it was a huge party. And the celebration was just after the show. There was no real reason to have a party. And we're having a party just because, the show is over with. Let's go have a party. That's what I do. Brother, you get your paper, because this ship gonna sink real soon. When the balls start mingling, with the talent, and I don't know what kind of mingling they were doing. I'm just saying. But when the balls start hanging around the talent, having parties, hanging out and doing that kind of stuff, it's a bad message and it's a huge mistake. Business is definitely secondary. You can count how many parties that we've had with, for reality of wrestling. And my guys, it's been here at the house, you know what I mean?
Two.
Exactly. Because those two things just don't go together. Business and pleasure, they just do not go together. And there again, I'm the first one to say, Dixie Carter was trying to do one of the greatest things one could ever do for the boys, the guys that's doing this, trying to make sure securing guys jobs. That company, it definitely had a chance to do that. But Dixie Carter being in that position and not knowing, if she was in shark infested waters or what type of sharks they were, she just didn't know that. She didn't know if it was a great white or, one of the, sand sharks. She didn't know. And that's where the mistakes happened, I think, with TNA. Her being one of those people that just had a big heart. I ain't saying she was having the parties because she just, wanted that party. She was having the parties because she wanted to get a guy something, right. A little bit, so I'm joking and having fun on the front end, right. But nah, man, I think she was trying to do a great thing. Just didn't work out. Yeah.
Heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
Or Gary Anderson wanted to know, what was it like working with Vince Russo in TNA compared to working for him in WCW? Was Vince writing for TNA when you were there?
At the end, right there at the end, and I remember Vince Russo. At one point in TNA, Vince Russo didn't want no one else's opinion on any of the writing. He did it 100%, everything. Okay, now we had to do promos. Okay, and now Vince Russo wanted to be in charge of all the promos as well. Okay, so therefore Vince Russo wasn't taking any advice on how to write the show from anyone but himself. Now, this is my opinion on that right there. When you're taking no one's opinion on writing a show but yourself, you're entertaining yourself and yourself only. That's the way I feel about that. huge mistake Vince Russo made in TNA. Maybe because he didn't feel like he could trust anybody. A lot of those guys didn't like him. You know what I mean? It was a lot going on.
From WCW.
Yeah, it was a lot going on at that time. A lot of animosity. So I understand. I mean, even though Vince Russo and we've never had any problems or anything, but he didn't want any advice from me. He didn't ask me anything. So, like I say, when you're doing it that way, you're entertaining yourself and yourself only, and that doesn't reach the masses, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, even Chris Rock talks about when he's preparing for a stand-up special, he'll go write a bunch of it, and he'll invite all his comic friends to watch him perform. And then after the show, he'll have a post-mortem, say, what worked, what didn't work, do you have any ideas, do you have any? And this is Chris Rock. He's the greatest comic of all time, maybe. And he still gets input on his writing. Yeah, that's hard. It's hard to do it by yourself. But was he different than he was in WCW? Was that the biggest difference? As he wasn't listening to anybody? Would he listen to people?
I think it's pretty much still the same. He still had the same concepts. The writing was still the same. The matches were quick, fast, short. I didn't understand a whole lot of it. But there again, somebody believed in him to bring him in to write the show. And that's on them. That's on them.
All you need is one person to believe in you, right?
Yeah, that's all you need. That's really all you need. But like I say, concept of knowing what's going on today and what was going on yesterday is two totally different things. Told a story about you just last night on the watch party, and I was like, my partner Brad told me, he's like, "Bookie, you really have built this media thing," and I say, Brad, I couldn't have did this without you. I say, man, without you, none of this would be possible. None of the stuff you're doing probably, with this stuff would be possible. None of it that, without me would be, we had to do this together. And that's why I say you got to be able to take the young minds, and try to, massage them and bring them up to a level that surpasses anything one could ever imagine. And those ideas they come up with, the advice that they give is valid. Some, not all of it. You got to be able to filter it out, but you got to be able to trust the young guys. And I think Vince Russo has never been in that position or thought like that. And there are a lot of other guys in that position that don't think that way. I'm lucky to know that I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Hey, guys, this is the Hall of Fame. We got to get up out of here, man. We got to get up out of here. Bradley, I appreciate you there again. All the listeners, all the comments, man, we appreciate you guys for hanging with us each and every week. We love you, and keep hanging in there with the Hall of Fame each and every week. Guys, next week, same place, same time, but tonight, we up out this mug. We holler at you.